Good morning, students. This is Ritu Singh, faculty of School of Management, BBD University, and today I will be discussing the next chapter of your financial management subject, which is named as valuation of shares and bonds. Okay. So while starting the study of valuation of bonds and shares, you need to know some basic definitions. First is financial assets. These are the financial assets are the securities and bonds of the company, of the organization, and while another is the real assets. Real assets are tangible assets, that is land, building, machinery, and in case of intangible, it is patents or trademarks. And financial assets are securities and bonds. And then next is the efficient capital market. Efficient capital market is a term that describes that conditions or that makes an assumption that capital markets are in perfect conditions, the demand and supply are equal, and a proper flow of income is maintained. Then next comes the concept of values. There are different values associated with bonds and shares. First one is the book value. Book value is the value per share which is determined first hand in order to how to trade the securities in how much amount in a share market. Then the next is replacement value. Replacement value is that amount which will be required, which will be needed while you will be replacing an old asset with a new asset. Next is liquidation value. Liquidation value is that value which will be realized if you completely liquefy your business and trying to sell it. The next is going concern value. Going concern value. If you are selling your business in a running condition, if another organization is acquiring your business in a running condition and it is not going to stop its operations, then the value will be called going concern value. Next is market value. Market value is that value of an organization or of an asset which will be paid in the market if you try to sell it in the present conditions. So all these values are associated with your values of bond and share, which you will be studying and when you will be doing numericals. First of all, you have to consider the book value. It is the first value or the purchase value of any share and asset. The next is the replacement value, the value required or the amount required while replacing an old asset with a new asset. The liquidation value is when you are selling the asset and its operation are going to close. अगर आप business sell कर रहे हो, उसको पूरा liquefy कर रहे हो, उसके सारे operations बंद कर दे रहे हो, तो आपका liquidation value आएगा. और अगर आप अपना business चलता हुआ किसी दूसरी कंपनी को sell कर रहे हो या कोई कंपनी आपके business को acquire कर रही है, running condition में operational रखेगी, तब आपकी value आएगी going concern value. And the last is the market value. This is the value which is available in the market at the current running position. ये उन सारी वैल्यूज को कंसिडर करती है कि आपकी गुडविल क्या है मार्केट में, आपके पेटेंट्स कितने हैं, आपके कितने ऑपरेशंस चल रहे हैं, तो ये मार्केट वैल्यू उस पर डिपेंड करती है. Then the next point is features of bond. What features a bond contains? First point here is it is a long-term instrument. Long-term instrument है. The next is it is a debt instrument. Debt instrument है, इसका मतलब यानी कि इसमें आपका principal and interest की payment mandatory हो जाएगी. The next, interest rate is fixed. Interest rate is फिक्स्ड, एंड इंटरेस्ट रेट को ही कूपन रेट भी कहते हैं। कुछ क्वेश्चन में आपको कूपन रेट लिखा हुआ मिलेगा, कुछ क्वेश्चन में इंटरेस्ट रेट, बोथ आर द सेम थिंग्स। देन फेस वैल्यू इज डिसाइडेड, एवरी बॉन्ड हैज सम फेस वैल्यू, and this face value is generally in factor of 10. So face value can be of 10 rupees also, 100 rupees also, or maybe can of 1000 rupees. That means मैंने कहा फेस वैल्यू हमेशा फैक्टर ऑफ 10 की वैल्यू में आपको मिलेगी। देन मैच्योरिटी पीरियड इज ऑल्सो फिक्स्ड बाय द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और द अथॉरिटीज। कोई भी बॉन्ड है उसका मैच्योरिटी पीरियड 5 ईयर्स, 7 ईयर, 10 ईयर्स, 20 ईयर्स कुछ भी हो सकता है। एंड एवरी बॉन्ड हैज अ रिडेम्पशन वैल्यू। मैच्योरिटी पूरी होने पे उसकी कुछ रिडेम्पशन वैल्यू होगी जो कि उसके इंटरेस्ट रेट के द्वारा डिसाइडेड होगी। एंड ऑल्सो योर बॉन्ड विल हैव सम मार्केट वैल्यू, यानी कि मार्केट वैल्यू आपकी वो वैल्यू है कि अगर आप मैच्योरिटी से पहले अपना बॉन्ड रिडीम कराना चाहते हैं तो कंपनी की कंडीशंस के अकॉर्डिंग, उसकी रनिंग कंडीशंस के अकॉर्डिंग उसकी मार्केट वैल्यू क्या है ये भी आप डिसाइड या पता कर सकते हैं। So these are all the features of bond, that is, it is long term instrument, it is a debt instrument, interest rate is fixed, face value is fixed, it is fixed in the factors of 10, then maturity is fixed, redemption value is fixed, and market value can also be determined. So then what are the types of bond? There are generally 3 types which you have to focus while studying. First is bonds with maturity. Second is pure discount bonds. And the next is perpetual bonds. So we will take a look on these bonds one by one. So bond with maturity की जब बात होगी, when we are talking about bond with maturity, तो इसकी bond value कैसे decide होगी? यहाँ पर भी हम present value और time value of money का ही formula लगाएंगे। Bond value का आपका formula होगा bond value is equals to interest upon 1 plus r power n plus maturity value upon 1 plus r power n. This is the basic formula for your bond value. Whatever interest you are getting every year, whatever interest is applied on the bond divided by the rate, required rate of return, and the maturity value with the required rate of return. So for example, आपने एक bond purchase किया जिसमें 10% interest rate है, required rate of return आपका 8% है, I interest is provided at 10%, required rate of return is 8%, तो required से आपका interest rate अगर 10% है तो यानी कि I आपका R से ज़्यादा है, यानी कि ये bond favorable है, आपको इसमें invest करना चाहिए, जितना आपको required है उससे ज़्यादा आपको interest मिल रहा है। Maturity value उसकी 1000 rupees है, इसी value पे आपका interest लगेगा। एंड सॉरी फेस वैल्यू आपकी यहाँ पे 100 रुपीज़ है, इस पे आपका इंटरेस्ट अप्लाई होगा। तो आपकी इक्वेशन बनेगी 10% अगर इंटरेस्ट रेट है तो 100 का 10% आपका 10 रुपीज़ होगा, 1/0.08, और आप ये मान के चल रहे हैं कि ये 2 साल बाद मेच्योर हो जाएगा। मेच्योरिटी टाइम पीरियड आपका आफ्टर 2 ईयर्स है, तो यहाँ पे आप पहले 2 लिखेंगे, ये तो पहले साल का इंटरेस्ट होगा। देन अगले साल फिर आपको 10 रुपीज़ का इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा, 1 plus 0.08 power 1, देन प्लस मेच्योरिटी वैल्यू आपकी कितनी है, 1000 रुपीज़ आया है, आपको मेच्योर होने पे 1000 मिलेंगे, एंड 1 plus r power 2, क्योंकि 2 साल बाद ही मेच्योर हो रहा है। इसकी वैल्यूज आप फॉर्मूले से कैलकुलेट कर लेंगे, एंड देन यू विल गेट द बॉन्ड वैल्यू। And if that bond value is according to your requirements, what you need after 2 years, then you can invest in this bond. The next is in this bond maturity, yield to maturity. Yield to maturity determines the profit or loss made on the bond. इसका भी आपका सेम वही फॉर्मूला बनता है जो आपने भी बॉन्ड टू मैच्योरिटी में लिखा था, आप उसी से यील्ड टू मैच्योरिटी डिसाइड करते हैं. इसमें आपको हिट एंड ट्रायल मेथड लगाना पड़ता है बिकॉज यू हैव टू डिटरमाइन समटाइम्स द रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट प्रोवाइडेड विद द बॉन्ड ऑल्सो. एंड देन नेक्स्ट इज करंट यील्ड. Current yield is that yield on the bond which is you are getting or which you are having the income in a present year. So current yield is the annual interest divided by the bond's current value. Okay. And the next is yield to call. Yield to call के केस में क्या होता है कि अगर मान लीजिए आपके बॉन्ड की मैच्योरिटी पीरियड जो है वो 10 ईयर्स का है, मैच्योरिटी पीरियड उसका 10 ईयर्स का है, बट अगर आप उसे 5 साल में ही रियलाइज करना चाहते हैं और इफ़ द कंपनी इज सेइंग कि उन्हें वो बॉन्ड 5 साल में ही वापस चाहिए, तो उस टाइम पे विद इन 5 ईयर्स में वो जो आपको वैल्यू प्रोवाइड करवाएंगे दैट विल कम अंडर यील्ड टू कॉल. The next is amortization of principal. Of principal in bond. तो पिछले चैप्टर में भी जो हमने लोन अमोर्टाइजेशन पढ़ा था, सेम वही कॉन्सेप्ट हम अमोर्टाइजेशन ऑफ बॉन्ड में भी लगाएंगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू हैव purchased bond of 1000 rupees for the company and they have decided that they will pay you interest plus principal every year. यानी कि वो धीरे धीरे अपना प्रिंसिपल अमाउंट भी कम करते जाएंगे. तो यहाँ पे अगर हम ये मान के चलें, एक कंडीशन हम ले लें एग्जाम्पल के लिए कि 1000 रुपीज़ का बॉन्ड है, 5 ईयर्स की मैच्योरिटी है एंड 10% का इंटरेस्ट रेट वो प्रोवाइड करवा रहे हैं. तो दैट मीन्स वो हर साल आपको, पहले साल में आपको 200 रुपीज़ का प्रिंसिपल भी पे कर देंगे और 1000 रुपीज़ पे 10% का इंटरेस्ट यानी कि 100 रुपीज़ पे कर देंगे, यानी कि आपको पहले साल में 300 रुपीज़ मिलेंगे. सेकेंड ईयर में बॉन्ड की सिर्फ 800 वैल्यू बच रही है, तो सेकेंड ईयर में भी आपको प्रिंसिपल का 200 मिलेगा एंड अब 10% इंटरेस्ट रेट इस 800 के अमाउंट पे लगेगा, यानी कि आपको 80 रुपीज़ मिलेंगे इंटरेस्ट में. सो यू विल रिसीव 280 रुपीज़. थर्ड ईयर में इन थर्ड ईयर योर प्रिंसिपल विल बी लेफ्ट ऑफ 600, तो उसमें से भी 200 रुपीज़ आपके प्रिंसिपल के पे हो जाएंगे और 600 का 10% विल बी 60 रुपीज़. यू विल गेट टोटल अमाउंट ऑफ 260 ऑन दैट बॉन्ड. देन इन फोर्थ ईयर it will remain only 400. You will receive 200 as a principal, 40 rupees as 10% interest on the bond value, bond face value. The total value which you will receive will be 240. And in the last year, 5th year, जब आपका बॉन्ड मैच्योर हो जा रहा है तो आपको पूरे 200 एंड उस पर 20 रुपीज़ का इंटरेस्ट मिलेगा, यानी कि 220 रुपीज़ मिलेंगे. सो एट द एंड ऑफ द 5th ईयर कंपनी हैज पेड बैक यू द प्रिंसिपल एंड द इंटरेस्ट बोथ, एंड दे हैव ऑल्सो रिड्यूस देयर लोन अमाउंट ईयर बाय ईयर इन इक्वल अमाउंट्स. सो अमोर्टाइजेशन का प्रिंसिपल यही कहता है कि दैट लोन रीपेमेंट इज डन इन equal installments of principal. जो प्रिंसिपल बर्डन है उसे ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या कंपनी धीरे धीरे कम करती जाती है. The next is semi-annual interest payments. आपका सेम फॉर्मूला लगेगा, बॉन्ड वैल्यू इज इक्वल्स टू इंटरेस्ट अपॉन 1 प्लस आर पावर एन प्लस मेच्योरिटी वैल्यू अपॉन 1 प्लस आर पावर एन. बट सिंस इट इज अ सेमी एनुअल इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट, और हमने लास्ट चैप्टर में अभी मल्टीपल कंपाउंडिंग पढ़ी थी, और सेमी एनुअल इंटरेस्ट पेमेंट का मतलब है कि हम हाफ ईयरली पेमेंट्स कर रहे हैं, तो आपका इंटरेस्ट रेट 2 से डिवाइड हो जाएगा एंड टाइम पीरियड आपका 2 से मल्टीप्लाई हो जाएगा, जैसा कि हमने मल्टीपल कंपाउंडिंग को पढ़ा था. मल्टीपल कंपाउंडिंग का फॉर्मूला हमें याद है, दैट फ्यूचर वैल्यू इज इक्वल्स टू प्रेजेंट वैल्यू 1 प्लस आर अपॉन एन इंटू m into m. m is the number of times compounding is done. तो सेमी एनुअल में हम 2 बार कंपाउंडिंग कर रहे हैं, दैट मीन्स सेमी एनुअल मीन्स हाफ ईयरली कंपाउंडिंग. So these all topics were about the bond with maturity. Next topic is your pure discount bonds. In pure discount bonds, they doesn't carry any explicit rate of interest. It provides the payment of a lump sum amount at the future date in exchange rate of a current price of the bond. Pure discount bond में हम किसी भी तरह का इंटरेस्ट रेट डिसाइड नहीं करते हैं. करंट डेट पे कुछ फेस वैल्यू डिसाइडेड होती है और मैच्योरिटी पे आपको एक रिडम्पशन वैल्यू प्रोवाइड करवा दी जाती है. उसके बेसिस पे आप डिसाइड कर सकते हैं कि आपको कितना इंटरेस्ट इनकर हुआ है. तो इस केस में क्या होगा, अगर आपने आज 500 का बॉन्ड परचेज किया है और फ्यूचर में वो आपको 1000 रुपीज का मिलेगा, उसके मैच्योरिटी पे आपको 1000 रुपीज मिलेंगे, तो सो यू विल डिसाइड ऑन योर सेल्फ कि जब आपका 500 का अमाउंट 1000 में कन्वर्ट हो रहा है विद इन पीरियड ऑफ 10 ईयर्स, तो आपको यहाँ पे इंटरेस्ट रेट कितना मिल रहा है. दैट इज योर प्योर डिस्काउंट बॉन्ड्स. तो यहाँ पे आपको खुद ही कैलकुलेट करना है कि आपका रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट क्या है. यहाँ पे आपको हिट एंड ट्रायल मेथड लगाना पड़ेगा इस क्वेश्चन में, बिकॉज इट विल बी difficult to calculate the interest rate here via simple calculation method. आपकी इक्वेशन इस तरीके से बनेगी that 500 rupees was the purchase amount, future value उसकी 1000 rupees है and R आपको खुद पता करना है और maturity period आपका 10 है. तो when you are going to calculate this R, you have to apply either hit and trial method or you have to refer to the table of discounting and compounding factor values. And pure discount bonds are also called zero coupon bonds. ये टर्म याद कर लीजिए, ये आपका 1 नंबर के क्वेश्चन में आ सकता है कि व्हाट इज द अनदर नेम फॉर प्योर डिस्काउंट बॉन्ड्स. इज जीरो कूपन बॉन्ड्स और जीरो इंटरेस्ट बॉन्ड्स. और इसमें जो रेट आपका अकर होता है, जो जिस रेट पे आपको इंटरेस्ट मिलता है, हम उसे मार्केट यील्ड भी कहते हैं. तो हियर यहाँ पे हमने 1 नंबर के क्वेश्चन पे बात कर ली कि प्योर डिस्काउंट बॉन्ड्स को हम जीरो कूपन बॉन्ड्स भी कहते हैं और जो रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट उसमें अप्लाई होता है हम उसे मार्केट यील्ड कहते हैं. Then comes your perpetual bonds. Perpetual bonds are also called consols. अब perpetual की definition हमें पता है. Perpetual, what is perpetual? Perpetual means that is something running for indefinite period of time. Infinite time. तो जिन बॉन्ड्स की कोई मैच्योरिटी वैल्यू नहीं होती है हम उन्हें परपेचुअल बॉन्ड्स कहते हैं. दे हैव नो मैच्योरिटी वैल्यू बट दे गिव a certain interest rate to holders every year. तो परपेचुअल बॉन्ड जिस भी इन्वेस्टर के पास होते हैं, जिस भी शेयर होल्डर के पास होते हैं, उनको एक सर्टेन इंटरेस्ट रेट हर साल मिलता रहता है जब तक वो उनके पास रहते हैं. Until unless these perpetual bonds are not changing hands, these bonds will generate interest rate for the infinite amount of time. Okay. So this was all the basics for the valuation of bonds and share you need to know. and you need to know all the definitions, because this portion of your syllabus will generally consider the theoretical questions. Numerical questions उतने ज़्यादा नहीं आएंगे. So while teaching this chapter, I have referred two books. One is Financial Management by R.P. Rustagi, and second is Financial Management by Dr. I.M. Pandey, which is of Vikas Publications. These books are available in the market. If you want to purchase, you can, or you can find it on online also. Also, all the notes will be shared by the faculties for you in the classroom also. So students, in our lecture we were discussing about the bonds and shares and debentures of the company and how they help in increasing the resources for the company and subsequently its value also. So in order to support that discussion of bonds and debentures of the lecture of financial management, here we are with a small caselet of the IPO of, that is initial public offering of, the company called Saudi Aramco. It is an oil giant. We all know that it is an oil giant. That means it contains, or we can say it controls, the maximum percentage of oil business throughout the world. Okay, so here we will be discussing a small case about Saudi Aramco initial public offering and how they started it, why they started it, what was their objective, and how they wanted to increase their total valuation, but due to some very strict and some very conservative practices, they missed it by a very small margin. So let's discuss about it. Okay, so here what happened for the introduction part, while talking about while they tried to start the IPO. So this development started in January 2016 when the Crown Prince of Deputy Crown Prince of the country decided to sell 15% of Saudi Aramco company shares initial public offering in order to fund Saudi Arabia's economic reforms plan. And he expected to raise $100 billion from the sale, which will take up the value of Aramco to up to 2 trillion. Okay, so Aramco is a company which is an oil giant, and it supplies major, or we can say the huge percentage of oil all over the world. And they are kind of deciding factor when it comes to decide the price of oil per barrel. So in 2016, जो Deputy Crown Prince Mr. Prince Salman थे, he decided that he wants to raise $100 billion from the sale of initial public offerings of the company of Saudi Aramco, so that उनकी company का जो total valuation है वो 2 trillion तक चला जाए, and the money which will be raised from this IPO, they will be using it for the development purpose of the country. Okay, so many economic reforms they have planned. So after doing a lot of work for around 3 years, for more than 3 years, in 2019, in December 2019, shares amounting to 1.5% of total Aramco's value started trading on Saudi Arabia's stock exchange. And at that point, it raised around $26 billion for the kingdom and valued Aramco at 1.7 trillion. So 1.7 trillion तक Aramco की valuation increase कर दी थी, और on the day one, or we can say by the end of the weekend, they had raised $26 billion over the IPO. But still, it was not clearing up to the mark. They had not achieved the goal which they wanted to. So it also hurt a little bit of their ambitions also. So what actually happened? We discussed what happened, kya hua, and how it happened. This is about we are going to discuss. So Aramco IPO was promised to be the largest ever. Saudi Arabia was thinking then if they will bring the initial public offering for Aramco, it is going to be the largest. They were going to surpass the Chinese giant of Alibaba, which has raised $25 billion in 2014 with their IPO. They surpassed it with 26 billion. Aramco raised 26 billions on its IPO, but they were hoping the difference to be larger. So why it happened? Because a lot of banks were involved, so there were potential fees, and a lot of concerned investors were involved. From the very beginning, when Aramco was thinking, or Aramco was hoping and objecting towards, their objective was towards to raise the value up to $2 trillion of the valuation for the company. A lot of investors were also not very positive about it. They had doubts in mind that we might not be able to increase the value up to that value, because it will require for the company to be listed on almost all of the stock exchanges. But by then, Aramco was not listed. It was mainly listed in Saudi Arabia Stock Exchange only. Okay. Another reasons what happened was that when the company was pushing for the progress, for pushing for the IPO, it was derailed, it was hampered in mid-October of 2019, when they made a valuation of that it will increase the valuation of company up to only $1.1 trillion or 1.7, which was not the goal of the crown prince. He wanted it to go up to as high as $2 trillion, which caused a little bit of setback for the program also. And why this happened? If you want your company to actually work, and if you want people to trust your company, to trust its shares, you have to create a transparent organization. Since Saudi, we can say that Saudi is a little bit of conservative country. They don't like to you can say they don't like to disclose all their profits and their earnings every year. Their rules of accounting are different from very much different from the international standards of accounting. You can say that. So what happened, that although Aramco is the world's most profitable company, since it is an oil giant and it do the business, major business of oil throughout the world, it is the world most profitable company, and even its earnings are twice as Apple in 2018. Whatever the company of Apple earned in 2018, Aramco's profits were double than that. But still, Aramco operates differently than the public companies we are aware of. So also Saudi Arabia is a primary producer in organization of petroleum exporting company, that is OPEC, and they also manage the prices. Sometimes they cut the oil production in order to increase the oil prices, and sometimes they increase productions to balance the market. That means we know that they have a strong hold when it comes to the oil market. And what happens next, that they also keep oil capacity in reserve to call in times for shortage. And these all decisions are made for the reason of market stabilization and sometimes political reasons also. But this doesn't work fair in the, it is not considered very fair offering, or we can say a very fair way of conducting business. Okay. And sometimes shareholders feel that when you try to control the market too much, when you try to control the demand and supply of market too much, the company might be hampering or destroying the profits of the shareholders also. So if you are deciding that you are going to introduce initial public offerings, you are going to introduce shares in the market, then you have to increase the transparency. Because if the probable, or you can say possible investors are looking into company and they are seeing that you are quite strict, or you can say you are quite you're quite secretive about your way of operations while you deal with the demand and supplies of oil market, they might not trust you with their investment. So it was the same problem with the different, every different day it was the same problem with a different face. Okay, so before decades before, most of the world was dependent on Middle Eastern region for their oil supplies. And when the countries of the world saw that Middle Eastern countries are trying to regulate their demand and supply, even when they have sometimes they are making the supply in shortage, even when they are in we can say even when they are in good supply also, then it caused a little bit of rift between the countries. Okay, so what happened, it was seen that when China and the countries like China and United States saw that they doesn't need to dependent upon fossil fuel only. They started to they started to devise new ways to may find oil or other alternative sources of energy on their land only, which can cause decline in the profits of Middle Eastern countries oil business also. So all these kind of activities and various violent activities, or you can say the home wars, or the domestic wars between the Middle Eastern countries has also caused a loss in the valuation of oil companies. Since we are aware about different developments of home wars, or we can say domestic wars, or the war between the different sections of two group of peoples in these Middle Eastern companies, a lot of investors around the world are not in a condition to trust the investment made in these companies. So they are trying to limit themselves, which also which was also a primary reason why Aramco was not able to raise the money, to raise the amount in order which they wanted to. Okay, so what happened next? What was the reasons that why this international listing fall apart? So the reduced valuation of Aramco was the final straw which ended the dream of the kingdom. They thought of having a huge international IPO. And since they were thinking that their domestic or regional investors will be doing good investment also, but they didn't do it according to their aspirations, so the value also fell further. Okay, also they tried to sell their IPO at higher prices to the investors who were willing to pay, and they tried to push up the share value, which is also not considered a very good move when you're trying to be transparent with your probable investors. Okay, and if you're thinking that you're going to sell your IPO to the domestic investors only, then if you're hoping for a huge resource generation, that objective is somewhat defeated when if you are only looking to your domestic investors. If you really want, in the language of business, if you really want to increase the valuation, if you really want to the amount to be raised, to increase the amount to be raised, then you're not supposed to depend on your domestic investors only, but you should go towards, or you should look for your international investors also. So we can say that Aramco was thinking that it will have a landslide victory, and they thought they will increase the valuation, they will raise money much higher than their competitive Alibaba, but they only win by a eyelash, you can say. That means with very small difference. Okay. um, as we know that Alibaba raised $25 million in their IPO, and Armaco was only able to raise 26. So this was the small case study of Armaco, that how they were trying to increase their valuation of company by the introduction of IPO. And since we were discussing about bonds and shares valuation for the company, with this example we are aware that while a company is trying to increase their valuation, and a company is trying to raise money, they have to make sure that their policies are transparent, easily understandable for the investors, and they should feel that they can trust the company or the organization in which they are going to invest their hard earned money. If these criteria are not met, then the objective of raising good and required amount of resources is not going to be fulfilled. So we have to make sure that. So I hope you will remember this case study if when you will be writing the answers in your exams. And I hope you will start studying the various financial newspapers also, in order to increase your knowledge and your understanding and awareness about how the financial market works, so that you will be able to write relevant practical examples in exam. Okay, so thank you so much, students, for listening to me. Have a nice day ahead, and we will meet in the next lecture. Okay, thank you.